All right, good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be back with you all again. As you know, we still can't be back together. Some positive things have happened since last time we were here. The Governor Lee has lifted some of our restrictions a little bit. Some businesses are getting back to going, and the courts are going to be opening back up. So there's a lot of positive stuff that's happening. And it was today when I was out and about, this is Saturday, there was a lot more traffic. It's pretty cool to see more people out and more people moving around. And we just hope everybody stays safe and does what they're supposed to do while they are out and about. And I encourage you to take any steps that you think would help you. But here's what we're talking about today. We know we've been quarantined for going on 5 weeks, almost 6. And at that time, things were different. We talked about how things were odd, things were strange. But now the question is, what's next? After all this is over, what's next? How's the world going to change? How's things going to be different? How are we going to act differently when we see people? I know me, for example, went and saw a friend yesterday at his business, and it is everything in my power not to shake his hand, because that's what we've always done. I was taught as a kid to shake somebody's hands, but now we can't shake hands because of this virus. I know I went to Taco Bell today to get some lunch with Madison. I got my change back in a cup that I got to keep. So things are different today than they've ever been before. So what today's lesson is about is what's next? What's next with this? And I can tell you one thing for sure is I don't know what's next. None of us know what is next. But I can tell you this, God's got what is next. Today's story takes place in the New Testament. It's shortly after Jesus was crucified, he was put in the grave, and he arose on the third day. And at this point in time in our story, our disciples had seen Jesus once before, actually 2 times before, and this is sort of Jesus' third appearance to the disciples. And the thing about it is that Peter and some of the other disciples, I mean, they knew what had happened, had been with Jesus, they had saw some of the prophecy coming, being fulfilled through Jesus' death and resurrection, and they saw that Jesus was who he said he was. But at this time, they didn't even know what to do next. A lot of them were probably scared. A lot of them were probably frightened. The world that they had known before had changed dramatically. And so the question that Peter probably had running through his mind is what's next? What does Jesus want us to do? So this is chapter 21, verses 1 through 14. And it says, "Later, Jesus appeared again to the disciples beside the Sea of Galilee. This is how it happened. Several of the disciples were there, Simon Peter, Thomas from Galilee, the son of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples." So there was quite a few people there. There was 7 disciples were hanging out at this point in time. And as they sat there, they're just wondering, well, what do we do? So Peter went back to doing what he knew how to do, and that was go fishing. So he decided, I'm going to go fishing. And when he decides to go fishing, the other disciples decided that we're going to go fishing too. We'll just go with you. And so Peter didn't just sit around and mope, although he was sad and some other things, but he just did what he knew to do, just get up and go fishing. So they go out on the Sea of Galilee, and they're there in their boat with their nets, and they do what they always do. Go to their famous, their fishing hole. They know how to catch fish. That's what they did for a living. They always did it. And so they went out there and they were casting their nets. So something that was very comfortable to them and something that they had expertise in was just not working that day. They threw their nets off one side of the boat, no fish. They threw their nets off the other side of the boat, no fish. They threw their nets off the back of the boat, no fish. They moved the boat a little bit and still no fish. While they're in the boat and probably becoming very frustrated, I've been fishing before and I got my favorite fishing hole, which I'm not going to tell you where it is, but we go there sometimes and catch fish so much it's boring. And then we go other times and we can't catch anything. And it's just completely frustrating. So here are these guys that are experts, can't catch anything, and they're getting frustrated. And so a voice from the shore hollers out, "Have you caught any fish?" Well, their reaction is probably what ours would be. No, smart aleck, I ain't caught any fish. And so they kind of had a smart reaction to what was said. They said, "No, we haven't caught any fish." Then he said, "Throw out your net on the right side of the boat and you will get some." Well, at this point, Peter and those guys are thinking, who is this dude trying to tell us how to fish? But they go ahead and do it anyway. They throw the net out on the other side, the right side of the boat, like the man on the beach told them, and they caught so many fish they couldn't even pull the net in. And at that moment, Peter realized, hey, that's Jesus. And so Peter, in his excitement, and hopefully this would be my excitement if I saw Jesus, basically wraps his coat around him, his robe around him, and just jumps into the water and starts to swim towards Jesus. And they're about 100 yards off the shoreline at this point in time. And so Peter starts to swim, and he swims to get to Jesus. Meanwhile, all the other 6 disciples that are in the boat are rowing the boat to shore with this net behind them, and they can barely get the boat in. So they struggle and struggle while Peter swims, and they get to the shoreline finally, dragging the net of gigantic fish behind them, more than they've ever caught in their entire life. And as they get there, they notice there's a fire burning. And so they get closer and they realize that Jesus was making them breakfast. Isn't that cool? When you want to have some breakfast made by Jesus? So Jesus is making them breakfast. And their breakfast consisted of, you guessed it, fish. And so there they are struggling to get fish in, but you know what? Jesus already had it under control. He already had the fish. So as they approach Jesus, they can smell the fish cooking, they can smell breakfast going, and you know they're hungry. And so as they get there, Jesus asks the disciples, hey, can you get me some of your fish as well? And so they go back, they get some of their fish, they bring it back, and Jesus cooks breakfast. They sit there and they have a conversation. Now, one of the things we know about Jesus, and this is my interpretation, is Jesus likes to eat. We see a lot of things that when he's talking to his disciples, it's usually over food. And so this is another time that he likes to eat. But it's not really eating. It's just taking time to sit down and talk, to discuss what's going on, where their minds can be isolated on what is being said. And so Jesus and them talk, and this is where Jesus tells them, here's what's next. So Jesus is talking to them, and on 2 occasions, he tells them exactly what he wants. The first one is, take care of my sheep. Jesus tells them, I want you to take care of my sheep. So he wants them to go out, and his sheep are his followers and people that love Jesus and Christians. And he asks them, I want you to go take care of them. And when you take care of somebody, it's more than just saying, hey, I hope you have a good day. When we take care of our kids, it's making sure they're fed. It's making sure they're clothed. It's making sure that they've got what they need. And in a spiritual sense, it's the same way. It's making sure that your friends have what they need. And that is, do they know somebody loves them? Do they know somebody likes them because they're weird? They know that somebody's got their back. They know that somebody's going to be there for them when they need somebody to be there for them. So go take care of my sheep. And then he goes on to say, feed my sheep. So the next thing he tells them to do is feed my sheep. And that is, give them what you know. Go and be a disciple. Go and be a leader. Go and be a missionary. Missionaries don't have to take place halfway across the globe. It can happen across the street. And go talk to somebody. And guys, look, you can do that. Just because you're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade doesn't mean that you are any less than these disciples that Jesus are talking to. They're just like you, scared, don't really know what's going on, don't know what's going to happen next. They're frightened. I mean, we see time and time again that Peter denies Jesus. You know, Thomas won't believe it until he sees it himself. So they're just like us. But Jesus is using them. Jesus is telling them, here is what's next. So for us, as Christians, when we come out of this COVID thing, and we're out of our quarantines, and we're out of sort of being scared to talk and to be around people, Jesus has given us what's next. That's to take care of each other and to feed each other. That's what's next. So I encourage you, when you get back with your friends, you start to see your friends, that you tell them you miss them. Tell them you love them. Last week you talked about sending them a note or a text. Let them know that Jesus loves them. Ask them how they're doing. So as we start to get back together, I don't want you to ever take for granted relationships you have with people, because those have been missing for so long. I saw a friend today I haven't seen since this thing happened, and it was exciting to see him. It was exciting to have a conversation with them. And a lot of times I saw this person and I just took it for granted. But today it was different. So I ask that you go back and you enjoy your friends, that you help your friends as they make their spiritual journey, because you can do it. But I also want you to go help those that you're not friends with. The kid that's not cool, or the kid that's sitting at the end of the lunch table. I want you to feed. That's God's sheep, and He's told you what's next. That's to take care of that person and to feed that person. And you can do it. There's no doubt that you can do it. So that's what I want you to do. That's my encouragement for you as we go forward. So when we get through this situation, I don't know exactly what's next for our life and how things are going to look, but I know what God's got next for us. And that is to take care of each other and to feed each other. We can do that. Now, I hope you guys continue to be safe, continue to wash your hands, even though you get ready to go out. Always wash your hands, practice good hygiene, and just relax. But enjoy being back together. Enjoy what's next. I love you guys, and I hope that you all have a good rest of your summer. And remember, when things are weird, things aren't happening the way you think they're going to, that God's got what's next. See you guys. Love you.